So we are live, and good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time you're listening to this. So if you're live at the moment, welcome and thank you very much. If you are on Facebook watching this, do make sure that you register with StreamYard. So we're streaming through a StreamYard, a third-party app. We can't see who the comments are from unless you register with StreamYard, and it's a one-off affair. You just put in streamyard.com/Facebook and then register, and then it's done and dusted. And then we can just pick up. And if you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments, or if you want to ask the speaker, Helen, anything at any one point, we'll save it probably till the end, and then we'll pick up on it then. So welcome. Just to recap, my name is Esther Apoussidis. I transitioned into coaching back in 2020. When I was put on furlough, and then I was subsequently made redundant from my full-time marketing job, and also my therapy centre, which was a hobby business I was doing in the evening, had to shut. So I thought, I don't want to be in this position again. Like, this is the third time I've been made redundant, and it's not an enviable position, and nobody wants that. And I thought, when you start really embracing the power of you and start believing in yourself, then that's when you can move mountains, literally. And I decided I'm going to commit to myself and then move into this arena of coaching. And I loved it. I could duck to water. And I know Helen's also a fellow coach. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. I've been building up a bit of a Facebook group, a bit of following on LinkedIn in the last year with a newsletter. Abundance is an inside job. So I talk a lot about laws of the universe and law of attraction and things like that, and law of vibration. But let's put the focus now on my speaker. So this is Helen. Helen and I linked up on LinkedIn, I think. Yeah. So the power of social media to really connect with lots of different people, interesting people from all over the world. I've had the privilege of interviewing quite a number of people in the past, and quite sort of notable people as well. My pleasure, absolute pleasure to say hello and welcome Helen to my followers. And you do lots of things. You're a podcaster, you're a speaker, you're a coach, and a performer. So that title intrigued me. So yes. So let's know where you're calling from, and just give me a little bit of a resume of what you do.
My resume. Yeah. No. So hi everyone, it's a pleasure, and thanks so much, Esther, for having me. I'm tuning in from the Irish Midlands in my little home office here. I'm really excited today to be chatting about this topic that's all about joy. And essentially I wear many hats. So quite like Esther, actually, I started my coaching business off the back of the pandemic because all my in-person services shut down, and like everything I was doing at that time was like international teacher trainings where we're doing like myofascial release stuff in person. It's touch-based practice, or like therapeutic practices where people needed to be able to be less than 2 meters essentially. So everything got shut down, including everything in the arts as well. So I've trained as an actor and a dancer, and that's also part of my life, and everything shut down, and it was bizarre. And I just thought, I can't cope with this, what's happening, what's going on. And the long and the short of it is that I decided to upscale and kind of distill all of my in-person skills from all the various different walks of my career that I have into one thing, and to help people online, virtually, with a really powerful coaching program. So that's what I do now. I mix approaches to acting and building character with coaching, with wellness, to deliver a strategy that helps people step closer to their 5-star life, is what I call it.
Fabulous. And you certainly start embodying that now, aren't you? So. Oh,
absolutely. Like, got the star in the dressing room and everything. You've got to have all of it. Bit of that. You are the star of your life. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you're starting to recognize all your skills and aptitudes, and you're trying to combine them, put this into a melting pot, and out of it comes something very, very special and unique, isn't it?
Sure.
And I think that's the message to as many of us as possible, to really hone in and really develop what is your uniqueness, or what are your gifts, Yeah. So hi, I don't know who you are, Facebook user. So if you want to register with StreamYard, it's streamyard.com/Facebook. But if you've got the chance, otherwise just type your name in if you want to be recognised. But it's fine if you want to stay anonymous as well. Sorry for that interruption, but I just thought I'd let that person know we'll welcome them if they're on.
I might piggyback on your interruption and just say, I hope, we're all in the virtual world all the time doing a million online things. I'm looking directly at your square, but if it looks like I'm looking off into a random place, tell me now, so that people aren't thinking, where is she looking? That she's being all weird. So let me know.
Yeah, you as a performer certainly pick up on that, isn't it? So with
Where's my shot? Where's my camera?
Fabulous. So the title of this live is all about prioritizing joy to live a fuller, more healthy life. So in terms of living a fuller life, I suppose that connects to why we are here and our intrinsic purpose. So how does joy feature in that? So yeah, just run through that with us and explore that idea.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think joy, it is a key ingredient. If you're somebody that has identified what your purpose is and you want to go after it, or if you're just somebody who wants more from life and you're like, yeah, I have an idea of what a full life looks for me and I want to do it. So when we have some sort of clarity or idea about that and we want to go after what it is we want for our lives, joy plays a massive role. And joy either shows up or doesn't show up off the back of the choices that we make for ourselves and our life. And I think in order to get closer to what we envision as a full life or a purpose-driven life, in order to do that, our choices must be aligned with joy. And that, saying that and like, oh, it must be aligned with your joy, that can be very abstract. What I mean by that, it's things that light you up. It's your environment, it's your experiences, and it's people that light you up.
Or it's animals, as somebody said.
Or animals, oh my gosh, yeah. My fur baby is downstairs. I don't know what my life would be like without her. Absolutely animals. But so it's the interactions we have for ourselves in our lives. And the energy that we usher in or create. Joy is 100% part of that. And our energy kind of wanes or soars off the back of how much or little energy we inject into our days. There's a really cool quote that had me in tears over the pandemic. I'll just paint a picture for you here. Really fluffy magenta dressing gown, couple of crumbs here, probably a couple of crumbs on my face, unwashed hair, totally wallowing in my self-pity at the time, as probably many people were. When your business is going down the toilet, you're like still on another lockdown, you think this is temporary and then it's not, and you're like, shit, where's my life going? A quote came on the radio this quote is from Annie Dillard, if anybody wants to Google it and tape it on their wall. How we live our days is, of course, how we live our lives. And nothing scared the bejesus out of me more than hearing that on the radio, because I looked at myself full of crumbs and fluffy dressing gown and, unbrushed hair, Bridget Jones, eat your heart out. And I thought, how am I living my days? How am I living today? How did I live yesterday and last week? And what are my plans for my life tomorrow and next week? And it scared the crap out of me. Because I had somehow entered this vortex of really crappy energy. I wasn't tapping into my joy. I wasn't finding other sources of joy outside of what my life was beforehand. And I think that's a great example of when life throws you a curveball, when we can be in tune with what it is we want for our lives in a really deep way, that helps us become more resilient when curveballs do come our way, when change is about. And it was just that reminder of all of this talking is great about the concepts of joy and how we can get after our purpose and what we want for our lives. But actually, when it comes down to it, it is what you're doing today. And I know, like, for me, it's
quite a few people are putting some comments in now, because you can't see that. I can see that, right? So one says, I write books, and that's how it makes, it just fits her at the moment, but she just hopes for more pay. So you might have something to say on that. But and the other, somebody else is saying, I'm in a job that I'm so depressed in, and I've done it for 20 years, but feel I can't do any more. And that is sad in a way, because that's 20 years of your life, and then you don't want to stay another 20 years there if it's totally soul-sucking, it's depriving you of any joy. But that feeling of being trapped because you feel that you need to pay the bills, that it has no money, and that. But I think that again comes down to there's a lot of courage in stepping into our joy, isn't there?
Yeah. To be honest, I had to have this conversation with myself even last week, because we don't just decide what our joy is and it's fixed. Our idea of what joy is and our ideal life or our purpose, it changes and grows with us as we change and grow on a daily basis. Yeah. And I realized that my coaching business and my efforts to grow it was taking away from some of my joy because I wasn't engaging enough with the arts. So constant checking in of that and having a balance of these things is super, super important. And just in terms of what I'm just checking in the comments here myself.
Yeah. You see them, yeah.
Yes, I'm slowly getting used to StreamYard here. To the person who's in a job, who's been in it for 20 years and isn't happy, I would love to invite you to consider a couple of things, because it's fine listening in on this, but like Esther says, we've got to pay the bills, etc. Number one, do you feel valued? Because if you don't feel valued, that impacts your picture of your own self-worth. And if you don't feel valued or worthy, joy can't make its way in. It just can't. And secondly, what could be possible if you put your joy first, or could find the bravery and courage to step away? It doesn't mean ripping the plaster off, quitting the job today and leaving yourself in the you-know-what and not being able to pay your bills.
Yeah, there's a transition, isn't there? You can do.
But to bring it back to the comparison I was making, I had to really think, wow, I had to check my mindset, and I thought, you know what? I kept thinking if I put less work into my coaching business, I was being lazy. Or I wasn't working hard enough, or I wasn't being consistent enough. But I realized, Helen, what the hell are you doing? You need to change your mindset. And actually, I need to practice what I preach, and I need to be brave enough to trust that when I put my joy first, which for me has always been the arts. Okay, I love coaching and I get joy from that, but the arts trumps it always. That's my authentic answer there. When you're brave enough to put your joy first, and you can try your best to trust that that will come, you will be amazed to see how things line up for you. Because when you put your joy first and you kind of surrender to the not to the worry, but when you can maybe quieten down the worry to take action on the path of joy, things start like lining up, like, oh, I don't know, like, is it Tetris or whatever that game is, or like when a vault opens in a bank on the telly and it's like shwa, 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 everything starts just lining up for you so that you can like walk smoothly down the path of your joy. But we have to make that first step down the path of joy first. And yes, it's feckin' scary. Excuse French, we're live.
Yeah.
That slipped out. But
and it's holding on to the faith. For me, like, I had the courage to do this, but there were many times where I felt, oh my God, I feel really on shaky ground. I know that show. But the more I really feel into who I am when I'm doing this, and really knowing what really I enjoy doing, and then fully expressing myself. And then I think that's it, it's when you know what you hear, it comes clearer the more you sort of practice and stretch that muscle of just moving out of your comfort zone, doing the things that following that sort of the breadcrumb trail to joy, as you say.
Yeah.
And it just feels so right. And true things just seem to align, seem to think, things that you wouldn't normally put together just seem to collide to actually support you,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, to trust in that, but then it will come, and you've got to be steadfast in it. Yeah.
It's really hard, and I'm sure some people can relate here. Like I was stuck in the longest time in the but how?
Yeah, the how.
Yeah, but how?
You don't need
Don't
to know
tell me all of this joy stuff. Yeah, but how? Okay, that's great, but how? And actually, I got to a point where I was so bloody tired of it all. And I suppose the word is surrender. I just surrendered to it, and I stepped into worrying about the how, into I'm having faith that this is happening because actually what I'm doing isn't working. So actually, for that person who's in the job that's making them miserable, you might be thinking, oh yeah, but how do I step away? Or what is the risk in stepping away? Please ask yourself this: what is the risk of you staying?
Staying, yeah. Is that more painful?
Yeah. Mental health, time with family if you have family, yeah. Everything, your joy, your energy, your health, because
we'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Yeah,
the health impact of not. Yeah. 100%. So my next coach doing, which is really right timing at the moment, is all about that health piece, because there is a definite. I know that as a therapist, there's this mind-body connection, So if our mood is low, we're thinking negative thoughts, it actually has a ripple or knock-on effect in terms of our physical health. So we know through, the neurotransmitters, the hormones, that fight or fright or, stress, that stress mechanism in our body, when we're always in this not being happy and always under stress, because that is that stress, that tension in our body all the time, because we're not actually in alignment with what we know we should be. We know we should be following this joy path, but we just feel so constricted or so trapped. Really, is this feeling of being trapped, and that creates that freeze response, I suppose, and that stress trigger in our body, and then that creates all the cortisol and the stuff that creates the build up and the depletion of our immune system. So then we start getting ill, we start feeling even more, and then that has a knock-on effect in terms of our motivation and get up and go. So just follow that through in terms of your experience of that, and especially with the people you work with as well.
I mean, getting straight to the point really quickly, if you're not happy, you very quick and fast will go down a slippery slope to depression. That is my experience, personally and professionally. If you're not living a life that lights you up, you're either living it for somebody else or somebody that you feel you should be. And actually, I'd like everybody to picture this right now. And it's not the most comfortable of things, but picture yourself on your final days and how you'd like to be, how old you might be, where you are. And ask yourself what you would love to look back on your life having achieved or experienced. And actually, you can leave the achievement to the side, because in life it's always achieve more, do more, work faster, work harder. And that's not what this chat is about. But it's really tuning into what you're happy with, your satisfaction with your own life. Because to be honest, my whole philosophy is to help people live with more happiness and less regret. So when that day comes, we're at peace with the life that we've lived, because it's so important. And so for everybody hopefully tapping into this, whatever's coming up for you first, and you want to have achieved or experienced that is your joy saying, hey girl, hey, or hey guy, whoever you are out there, you need to do this. And that's your joy and your intuition trying to speak to you. Trust it. Don't second guess it. It's whatever came up first without you logically trying to figure it out. That is your mind and your body trying to tell you. And here's the thing. If you live a life ignoring that, in my personal opinion, not professional, not Doctors say this, and I also agree. In my personal, real life lived experience, they'll grow old and bitter. Old if you're lucky, by the way. Who wants to be grown up old and bitter? We come into the world by ourselves and we go by ourselves. We can't take all the neighbors and our parents or grandparents' opinion or whoever it is in your circle, colleagues. At the end of the day, you have to be happy with your life, and nobody else's opinion matters, even if you're brainwashed now to think that you do. They do, because actually they might be important to you. Their opinions might be important to you, and that's okay. But essentially, you live with the consequence of every choice off the back of whether you take on board those opinions or not, your actions, behaviors or not. And your health will 100% respond to your state of joy, because it's an energy thing. And if we live a life, you see, the thing is with joy, it gives us an opportunity to operate from a higher frequency level. That's a positive frequency level. And it's just like the radio, when you get all the crackly noise before you tune in. When you're in chaos, when you know what you want, but you're doing the opposite, it's all that crackly stuff where we can't get a clear signal. So I know your audience loves the law of attraction and universe and everything. It's like that. It's creating chaos. You're saying I want this, but you're confusing the situation because you're not acting in alignment with it. So therefore the result can't be delivered. And that will also affect your health, because basically if we're in low energy, dark energy, unhappy energy, it affects our thought processes, which translates to feelings, which actions or lack of action and behaviors. And all of those things can lead to various physical and mental ailments. It's directly related, 100%. And that is how joy and health are intrinsically linked.
Yeah. Thank you. That was really quite profound. So yeah, I mean, in terms of so to give encouragement and inspiration to people listening in, what sort of steps can we take to recognize the joy in our lives and to really cultivate it, to really just expand on it, given all the responsibilities sometimes that we shoulder. So
yeah, because there's no point sitting here for an hour going, hey, put your joy first. And you're like, yeah, but the daily grind has to be done.
Let's get real.
It's up and out. I need to go to college. I need to, whatever it is that you do, go to work. And I work 10 hours a day. How the hell do you expect me to inject joy? These are all realities, okay? But it's how we spend our time. And actually, for anybody that's interested, they're finished for this year, but keep an eye out. I run this thing called the Mojo Revival Masterclass, and in these strategies that I'll share them in a nutshell with you here, and I'll go into more detail with them again. So another time, so you can ask Esther or myself about that if you're interested. But the key things to start acting on to see a turnaround in your energy, your time, and what I like to call, when you're getting your mojo back, you're operating from a really high vibe place and you're strutting down the street thinking life is great and all that. It is 100% linked to your boundaries with people and technology. It is based on your mind and body. And I talk about different versions of rest. So it's not just getting sleep, it's sensory rest, it's spiritual rest, getting outside, etc. And then the last one is being connected to your joy. So if you check in with those three things, like how much am I using tech? How good am I at saying no to people? Excuse me. How much rest am I, how much energizing rest am I actually getting? Because we can all sleep, but we can have crap sleep. So rest is not just sleep. And then it's, am I actually engaging with what makes me happy? We all have probably a cupboard full of crafts or DVDs or jigsaw or whatever. I'm listing stuff that I have that I'd love to engage with and don't. How can we look at our timetable, even if we work 10 hours a day, to inject a little bit of that joy in? And this is how, you claw back time to inject joy when you get your boundaries in check. Disciplined device use, saying no, even if it's your boss, and finding a way to explain why
And even if it's some element of your family too, isn't it? Because...
Oh, OMG, your family. Family can be scarier than the boss, right? The boss in your life could be a 5-year-old. You wouldn't know. Boundaries. And I like to refer to this thing as, if you're like, I work from home, so it's a bit different for me, but if you're somebody that has a place of work, when you go to work and you come back home, and I don't have a family, but if you have a family, you got kids and partner at home, that you're coming home to is what I mean by family in this context. You need to give yourself the grace and the space to be able to transition between the different characters of you. So work Helen, mommy Helen, sister Helen, or whoever it is you're living with, your home life, life. And if you don't do that, you'll be burnt out. And joy can't exist in burnout.
No,
or if it does, it fails. Yeah. So really, it's discipline. It's how you're spending your time. There's always a possibility to make time, but it's about perspective, about discipline, unfortunately. But it becomes easier once you're more consistent and once you get a bit of help to get started, basically. I am one for the waffle. I will talk for Ireland, so shut me up.
I just find, to be honest, there's power just in 2 to 3 minutes, just stepping away from everything, switching off, and literally sitting there and just focusing on 3 heart-centered breaths. It's amazing. It's so powerful. It just calms everything down, and then you start seeing, you get more clarity, and then you really feel like, this is what I need to be doing for my life, and then you get start. And I think it gives us courage. So for me, that's been powerful. So, I moved into meditation field. That for me has been a lifesaver. Now I'm actually being a teacher, so myself. So everybody is different, obviously. For some, it may be just doing their craft or whatever, and that could be enough joy for them, and others, they want to really live joy throughout every fiber of their being, through their work, through their community, or and even their family situation, and that's important for me, because being joyful has a knock-on effect, so it actually positively impacts others. So you probably can say about that how this is the important ripple effect we make when we look after ourselves.
For sure.
And really, build up that joyful experience in life. Joyful experience of joy, basically. It has such a major impact on others. Yeah.
I'm going to try and deliver a waffle-free diamond of a response. For me, when you tap into your joy, so meaning you recognize what it is lights you up and you take action that's in alignment with incorporating those things, as I mentioned before, that will change your frequency. It gives you an opportunity to step into a high vibe version of you that, trust me, will give you an opportunity to radiate magnetic energy. And when that happens, it changes how you show up in the world, which changes your world and the worlds of others. It changes every interaction that you have. I promise you, it changes every interaction. It changes every relationship, whether that's something personal in your family or romantic life, whether it's something professional with a boss or a colleague. When your energy changes and you are staying up here and you are operating from that high positivity, high vibe energy that is in line with what you actually want for your life, everything changes. And this is what we were talking earlier on about the vault. Everything starts lining up in your favor because you're actually being clear. You have the idea, you're taking action, which rises your energy, which changes.
Changes the external field.
It's literally science.
It is science, isn't it? Yeah, because we forget the origin of who we are. It's all around this energy.
We're all matter. Yeah, we're all matter, which means you matter.
Great.
Oh, Mom, I'm down the
so just finally, So when the problem is at the moment is, and I think it's a lot to do with COVID, and a lot of people feeling. I mean, I've just been delivering some workshops in the community, and the last one last week of was it Friday? It was all about anxiety and depression, minimizing that. And a lot of people are far more anxious now than they ever were pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Depression's on the rise, especially amongst the younger people, because they're really disconnected from other people. We don't realize how much that is important energetically, because they're hiding behind screens. They're interacting sort of digitally, but not in a real sense. And I think that, in my opinion, that's caused some of the depression. And also they're living more or less vicariously through other people, through these, I suppose they're not false, but they're almost like fictitious environments, aren't they? They're really a world. And so and I think that creates the disconnect within them, and that creates the depression. And also they're more anxious about socializing. They find it more difficult. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but how then, when they're in these really low vibration states, how we can shift that energy to just even give them a glimmer of hope and a glimmer that joy is possible. It's a challenge. I got to say it, but I suppose we've got to meet them where they're at and then help them move forward, isn't it? Inch by inch.
So I heard two questions from that. So first,
sorry.
No. Just so I can categorize and so I don't go off on a tangent, because Helen loves a tangent.
Me too.
First and foremost, yes, I 100% agree. I don't know if anybody's seen, but this week, I'm not sure what app it is, but everyone has these animated AI illustrations of themselves, and they're all changing it to their profile picture and everything. Yeah, it's not you. Maybe you feel it looks better than you, and that continues our journey of living vicariously through others or our digital selves. Our digital selves is not ourselves. And we see this all the time. Like, a full disclosure, an example here. My dad rang me up the other day and he said, Helen, I'm so proud of you. I've seen you on Instagram and you're doing this and you look great. And my dad is always so proud of me when I look great, right? And I had to explain to him, I said, well, thanks, Dad. That's so nice. Because usually he wants something. If I'm being honest, usually I have to help him with something if he rings. And I was so happy that he reached out to me to just chat. And he's like, Helen, I'm so proud of you and you look great. And I said, Dad, well, I have to be honest, thanks so much for the compliment. I do have a bit of help through a filter, right? And I explained to him what a filter was. And I said, but thanks, it just helps touch me up a bit here and there. And, we get lost in the touched up version of ourselves. And like, even in this example, and my dad only is proud of me because I look better than I might usually look, and it's filter, and there's this real unhelpful that sends the spiral that you're talking about, that young people go down off the back of digital environments. That's exactly one example.
Yeah.
Me as Helen in the world without a filter isn't pretty enough, isn't worthy enough, isn't
that's
whatever, fill in the blank enough. And digital platforms is such a huge part of it. And people play with filters because they're cool and they've got the dog ears and everything, but a lot of the time it's used to look like what you feel is a better version of yourself. And then that feeds into the social anxiety because you've got to go out without a filter.
Yes, exactly.
And you might be tuning into this and thinking, oh, this is like surface level stuff. It's not. It is not. Because our identity gets lost in this digital version of ourselves that we convince ourselves is better than actually Esther in person or Helen in person or whoever in person. In order to get people out of that environment and show them that, and not just in terms of the filter, but the whole digital environment that you're talking about. And if anybody is experiencing increased depression or anxiety, or maybe depression, anxiety for the first time off the back of the pandemic, or just now for any other reason, for me, it's those three things I mentioned earlier on. It's environment, experiences, and people. Because a lot of the time, when you're depressed, and I've lived with depression for a long time previously in my life, and I still have a lot of anxiety now. I think we have this inner world, and that inner world consists of our thoughts and our thought processes. It's not fact, it's our feelings. So we need to ask ourselves fact or feeling. But when you're in the, when you're in the trenches, you just can't, won't, or don't want to go there and try and figure it out, because you're so overwhelmed in how it is you're feeling, or you believe whatever it is that you're telling yourself, and it seems like that is the true thing, you know what I mean? And for me, it's just so incredibly important to change your environment, because if we can amp up the energy, the joy, change the experiences and interactions in our external world, it should, not always, because some people are really deep in the trenches, right? It should help. And it's trying to reconnect with what brings you joy. It's trying to find people who feed into the joy, and environments that help exuberate the joy, to help raise the vibration on some level.
For me, a big step in towards embracing more joy is actually to switch the telly off more and not to tune into negative news, because that really, we don't realize how much of a subliminal effect that has on our psyche. It's like this constant churning out of all the negative stuff. They're going to deep recession, and and then the war, and God knows what else. And I think that has a major impact on really perpetuating the fear and the low the low level anxiety that's all the time running in the background and in our body.
And I will say probably the biggest culprit of depression and anxiety is fear. So if you now, and a lot of the time we generate fear from thoughts ourselves, but of course our thoughts are influenced by our external world as well as our internal world, and actually everything that we learn before we're 7 years old, because we can't tell the difference. So that's why, like, if we're in a negative environment when we're so young, we have to do a lot of unlearning as an adult to realize that, actually,
it comes back from then.
Through, as you probably well know with that, Esther, from therapy. But I really feel like it's a really tricky question in terms of how do we kind of help get somebody out of that. But I think community is huge. There's probably a lot of resistance.
And the boundaries of what we allow ourselves to be subjected to, as you say, the boundaries is important.
I mean, like,
not exposing ourselves to negative communities, to seek out, higher vibration people. That's what I always say. And I'm very selective. I mean, sometimes we can't choose within our family, but we do have choices outside of that.
Like
and how we spend our time.
Friends are the family you choose for yourself. Now, it might be a friend, but it might be somebody you meet up for a coffee who you admire. That might seem a bit scary, like, oh, can I do that? People are people. The worst they can say is no. And again, where is that coming from? Oh, I mightn't do that because X. It's because of fear. Which creates more anxiety. So if we can tell fear to, where to go, we'd all be living a much freer, fulfilled life. And if we can ease fear, we can let more joy in, 100%. It was this cool thing.
Amp up the determination to seek out more joy, isn't it? So.
Absolutely. I came across this quote, and this is totally what I'm saying is the version that I'm trying to remember. So I'm sure there's a much more clearer version. Something like, sometimes we don't have any room for our future self because we're too busy living in the past. We're too full of our past to let in the future, or indeed the present, because what we're doing in the present moment is what creates our future. So if we're living too much in the past and also worrying, so depression is generally being in the past and anxiety is generally worrying about the future. If we're too far in the past or in the future, worrying about things, we can't focus on the now. And it's, again, how we live our days is, of course, how we live our lives. that is where the change happens. The change happens today. And I know lots of people will be like, oh yeah, but Helen, oh geez, I have a busy day. You have no idea what my day looks like. Yeah, sure, I'll start tomorrow. Start it Monday. No, I've been there. Doesn't effing work. It has to start today, because then tomorrow will be next week, will be next year, will be 10 years. And I've been there.
Yeah. And it's all about conscious choice, isn't it? Choosing your own happiness.
Yeah. And kind of like what you're saying as well, choosing people that support what it is you want for your life. It's like picking. If you look at your life as you're part of the own government of your life, and you need to fill your boardroom table, your round table, all the knights or the government people that you want to see to make all the changes in your life, that's who you need to seek out. Whether you know them already, or you don't know who they are yet, but you keep thinking, well, I need this kind of person in my life, or that kind of person.
Set that intention, and it'll come.
Intention. And who do you want in your boardroom, or in your committee, or in your corner?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, because that literally popped in my awareness is that the Think and Grow Rich. So Napoleon Hill had this imaginary council, didn't he? And he had all these deceased people, but they were literally in his imagination. He was having live conversations with them and leaning on their expertise, and he was.
And you have to be careful who you keep counsel with.
Yeah.
Some people are full of you know what. They don't know what they're talking about, but they think they do, and they love the sound of their own voice, and they love their soapbox. But is what they're saying their opinion and their limiting beliefs, or is it fact? These are important questions, and especially when we value somebody's opinion so much, so like a parent or a friend or whatever, so much so we can take on board their opinions as facts and not even question them, because we have this weird entanglement and automatic trust thing going on that's actually not helpful. Always question, what do we think of that belief? I wonder where their belief came from. It's like when you have to do a report in school, you need to back up the research. Yeah, some people are full of you know what. Yeah, do the research before you adopt an opinion or action as something that you feel is or is not in line with the life that you want. If it is not in line with the life that you want, abort. Get out of there.
Right. Thank you so much. I'm just going to give anybody an opportunity. If they've got any question before Helen goes, if they want to put in the question, pop it in the comment now. Otherwise, we'll just round up, because I know Helen's got a brilliant offer for our viewers, and she's going to share that in a moment. I've asked her whether she's got something that's great value that she can share. So I don't see anything coming up now. Fine.
I'm just
I think we got through, right? I think we got through them all. Yeah. So if you want to just shoot and go ahead and share.
Well, two things. If anybody's interested, you can just I've got a free podcast out there. It's called Live Fully, Die Happy. I've got the link. I can send it to Esther, or Esther.
I'll put it in the comments afterwards, or you can put it in. Yeah,
I can put it in the comments in a sec. It's a Spotify link, but you'll find it on Apple as well, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just look it up. Please go there for as much free content as you want. That's there. It talks all about this, getting your energy back, moving towards joy, and all that good stuff. But I also, as a kind of free Christmas gift for everybody, I wanted to share the opportunity to hop on a call with me for a free 30-minute coaching call, just to work through any blocks that you might have in terms of reaching a life that is full of more joy. So if that's something you're interested in, Esther's got the link. She's going to stick it in the chat now. And if you are interested, if you already know that you need support, come along to this. You can use it as a free half hour, and if you want to ask me any questions about any of my own programs, you can do that there. And I'm happy to honor my recent Black Friday offer, which you can ask me about, just for the people who've joined us today. So do get on that. I would love nothing more than to help you live with more happiness and less regret.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks. I'm trying to find the live, and I can't see it in my group. But
I've got the two links here.
I can put it after the live. Have you?
Pardon me?
I've got your link, but I'm just trying to find the live.
Yeah, I can see the comments, but it won't let me write anything.
Oh, maybe it's not
private
allowing you
chat.
to do
I
live.
don't know. Here's the link to you privately.
I've got the
know.
link. I've got the link already. I'll pop it in as soon as we've done here. But thank you so much. Absolute joy. As I say, it's been a joyful experience.
Can I just say one last thing? I noticed that somebody put in the comments that they did change their job and that everything else kind of changed for the worse. Right? Always ask yourself, what decisions am I making today? It doesn't mean that the job change was the wrong decision. Okay? Please trust in yourself that you made the decision based off what you thought was best at the time. And that is still true in that moment. So don't beat yourself up about it. It's how you move forward and hopefully you can use what we talked about today to help you walk closer towards joy. It's all in the mindset, how you look at things. Opportunities are everywhere. Watch your energy. When you can align your energy with things that bring you joy, things will change for the better, promise you. Wishing you a positive outcome in the coming weeks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for listening, and whether you're live or you're watching the replay. And my appreciation and thanks to Helen for
no problem, Esther. Thank you so much for having me.
Joy and her character and charisma and everything. Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
No problem at all. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.